15 months after the Israelites left Egypt, they reached Kadesh-barnea, an oasis south of the Promised Land. Moses sent 12 spies to find out all they could about the land and the people who lived there. When the 12 spies returned, 10 of them brought a terrifying report.
The people are stronger and taller than we are. We felt small, like grasshoppers, because they were so big.
2 of the spies, Joshua and Caleb, who also saw the giants, were not afraid. They said,
"The Lord our God will fight for us."
But everyone was so scared they would not want to go on. As a result, God struck the 10 spies with a disease and they died. And God punished the whole community in that they would wander around in the wilderness for 40 years. And everyone who was 20 years old or older at that time would not enter the Promised Land. The people were filled with grief. So the whole community left Kadesh-barnea and wandered around in the wilderness. After 38 years of wandering, they were back at Kadesh-barnea once again. There was no water for the people to drink at Kadesh-barnea. So the people blamed Moses and Aaron.
Why did you make us leave Egypt and bring us here to this terrible place? This land has no grain, no figs, no grapes, no pomegranates, and no water to drink.
Moses and Aaron went to the tabernacle and prayed to God. God told them to assemble the people and speak to the rock over there, and the rock will pour out water. But Moses was angry with the people. He shouted,
"Listen, you rebels! Must we bring water out of this rock for you?"
Then Moses raised his hand and struck the rock twice with the staff, and water gushed out. God was not pleased that Moses hit the rock instead of speaking to it. As a result, God said that Moses will not lead the people into the Promised Land. 4 months later, all the people of Israel left Kadesh-barnea and arrived at Mount Hor. There on top of Mount Hor, Aaron died, as instructed by God. Moses removed Aaron's priestly garments and put them on Eleazar, Aaron's son, showing that Eleazar is the new replacement priest for the people. When the Canaanite king of Arad heard that the Israelites were in the area, he attacked the Israelites and took some of them as prisoners. Then the people of Israel cried and made this vow to God.
If you will hand these people over to us, we will completely destroy all their towns.
God heard their prayers and gave them victory over the Canaanites. Then the Israelites completely destroyed them and their towns. And the place has been called Hormah ever since. Hormah means destruction. This was the Israelites' first victory over the Canaanites, and it built their confidence in God. 38 years earlier, the Israelites had suffered defeat at Hormah because of their disobedience and their lack of faith in God. While Moses was at Kadesh-barnea, he sent ambassadors to the king of Edom with this message.
"Please let us travel through your land. We will not eat the fruits on your land, and we will not even drink water from your wells. We will stay on the king's highway and never leave it until we have passed through your territory."
But the king of Edom said,
"Stay out of my land, or I will meet you with an army."
Edom's long-standing enmity with Israel can be traced back to their ancestors. Edomites were descendants of Esau, the brother of Jacob. who was the father of the 12 tribes of Israel. Then the people of Israel set out from Mount Hor, going around the land of Edom, and then to the Red Sea, because Edom refused to allow Israel to pass through their country. The people grew impatient with the long journey, and they began to speak against God and Moses.
Why have you brought us out of Egypt to die here in the wilderness? There is nothing to eat here and nothing to drink. And we hate this horrible manna.
38 years had passed. The remaining Israelites were no different from those who came before them. They still lack the faith to trust God, and is a complaining lot. So the Lord sent poisonous snakes among the people, and many were bitten and died. Then the people came to Moses and cried out,
We have sinned by speaking against the Lord, and against you. Pray that the Lord will take away the snakes. So Moses prayed for the people.
Then the Lord told him,
Make a bronze replica of a snake and attach it to a pole. All who are bitten will live if they simply look at it.
So Moses did as he was told. Then all those who were bitten by a snake and looked up in faith at the bronze snake were healed. Then at last the Lord said to Moses,
You have been wandering around in this wilderness long enough. Turn to the north. You will pass through the country belonging to your relatives, the Edomites. They will feel threatened. So do not bother them. If you need food to eat or water to drink, pay them for it. You will also pass through Moab and Ammon. They are the descendants of Lot. Do not disturb them. I will not give you any of their lands because I have already given it to them.
So the Israelites bypassed Edom, Moab, and Ammon. But there were strong and tall people in that region, the Amorites. The Israelites sent ambassadors to King Sihon of the Amorites with this message.
Let us travel through your land. We will not eat from the fruits growing on your land, and we will not drink from your wells.
But King Sihon refused to let them cross his territory. Instead, he mobilized his entire army and attacked Israel in the wilderness, engaging them in battle at Jahaz. But they were slaughtered by the Israelites. The Israelites crushed them at Jahaz, occupied their land from the Arnon River to the Jabbok River, and settled in their towns and surrounding villages. Then the Israelites marched up the road to Bashan. But King Og of Bashan and all his people attacked them at Edrei. The Bible in Deuteronomy 3 verse 11 tells us that King Og of Bashan had a bed which was 13.5 feet long and 6 feet wide. So King Og could be 8 to 12 feet tall. He was really a giant. The Lord said to Moses,
Do not be afraid of him. For I have handed him, his people, and his land over to you. Do the same to him as you did to King Sihon of the Amorites.
And Israel killed King Og, his sons, and all his subjects. Not a single survivor remained. Then Israel occupied their land. As a result, God's people were no longer afraid to face the giants and powerful armies that are in the Promised Land. They learned to trust God no matter how big the problem.